You're watching Rhema Gospel TV, where every word is inspired.
Hey everybody, this is Henry, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Vantage Point, Pastor Henry. I am super excited about my guest today, and coming amazing woman, and she's got just a beautiful story to tell, and she's got some sweet things to say. I've listened to her quite a bit. I've known her for about a year and a half now, and I just love everything she's done. She has what I call a touch of gold, and there's some class to it. You're going to see very soon. But we're talking about a topic. I'm coming out, and I do want to apologize to you. Today's episode will be without the intro because I don't have the intro ready. I always love giving every one of you the best of what we can do, but we've been backed up, and my assistant has not been able to get a computer I sent him, so he can't have the software I have. So you will have all of that. I do guarantee that, and I'm really sorry. So today, bear with me. I'll be doing all the intro myself. There will be no video, and I know and I do apologize to Jessica too. She deserves way better than I'm giving, but I feel forgiven. Amen. So I was saying, we're talking about I'm coming out, and one of the things that I've loved about just finding her place, finding her voice, finding her personality, finding her sweet place, finding her joy, finding her what makes her tick. And you can see it if you're sensitive. You can watch her timeline, and if you follow what she's been talking about, you can find all of that on her timeline. And everything she does just is one after the other. And I wanted, which is going to be my first question to her, how do you meet who need a little help to come out? They're in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, but there's an inside, there's an inner personality, there's an inner joy, there's an inner voice, there's an inner strength, boldness, that is still not out. And so coming is not a thing about age. And I coming out sometimes is used for something else, which I don't want to go into, but it's not about age, it's not about life experience, but it's about your time. It's about you finding yourself, which is why I wanted to talk to Jessica about this. And sometimes it doesn't mean you've not found yourself. It just means that found yourself, or you had a personality, you had a life, you had an image, you had everything going for you, and then something comes and just doesn't steal it, but just blinds you to it. And there could be so many reasons for that. There could be so many reasons. There could be abuse, there could be mental health, there could be anything, and all of a sudden you just have to rebirth yourself. And that's something I found Jessica doing. Her voice is reborn, her personality is reborn, her joy is reborn, her confidence in herself is reborn. And so she's not just going to talk about these things, she's going to tell you things that come from a deep place. I know one of the fortes, one of the things she likes talking about is self-love. And she's going to let you see how self-love is one of the key things that helps you rebirth yourself. If you stay longer in the place of stagnation, in the place of the doldrums of decay and obscurity, it is most likely as a result of the fact that you haven't fed yourself, you haven't given desire and deserve to be able to come out. And that's all that self-love is about. Taking a vacation for yourself, loving yourself, because one of the things that makes you lose all of that, when all the voices, all the accidents, all the abuse, and every situation, even the mental health situation, whispers to you that you're a nobody, or you don't have what you think you have. And so Jessica today is my guest, who she's a mental health counselor. She's certified licensed. She works out of New York. I wanted to say she's a woman empowerment speaker because that's what I see her do a lot. And she focuses a lot on self-love, giving you tidbits of ideas of what can help you birth yourself. And most times we think all of this is just for the woman. No, it is also for the men. But the problem is we men, we like, you know, men like staining. You know what it is to stain. You stain your furniture. You don't have to rub it in. Like painting because they want to use so many other colors, and they want to put it on it. They want it to cover the whole thing. We like a little bit of stain. You don't tell us we are broken. Just stain us a little bit, and then we get over it. But women. But this is good for you, men and women. I'm not sure I'm going to be chipping in a lot because I really just want to sit back and ask questions and understand this. But without much ado, I am going to introduce to you and the only Jessica Moloney. Hello, Jessica.
Hi,
How
how
are
are
you
you?
doing? I'm very good, very good. I really, really want to thank you for doing this. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments, a lot of people interested, and there's going to be a lot of follow up that will be needed. But which is why I'm happy we're doing 2 sessions of it. Um, so tell me, if I may ask you, how many times do you come across people within the age ranges of 35 to 55 who need help rediscovering themselves?
I mean, often. I think that like a lot of times during our younger years, we go through transitions that are expected. We've been guided to go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a job, and that's kind of where it ends. It's kind of where our guidance tends to end. So by the time that you've maybe gotten a couple of jobs and you found yourself in a spot where you feel like good, secure, like this is something that I can maybe see myself doing for a long period of time, then what? That's when a lot of
Hmm.
people lose their identity because they have nothing else that they're searching for, nothing else that they're trying to create for themselves in their life. And I often tell a lot of my clients that if we're not growing, we're not having new experiences, we're not growing. If we're not growing, we're not experiencing life. It's one of those things that kind of go together. So at that point, we've lost a passion, or we don't have one. We never really had one because we've been so focused on
Hmm.
doing what is right, getting the job, getting the relationship, taking the steps that
Hmm.
we've been told to do. So at that point, it's you. So who are you? What do you like to do? What are some things that you are now going to aspire to that you really want that maybe you need? I think a lot of people have been stifled in their ability to dream and to want more for themselves because they didn't really know who they spent so much time just doing what they had to do. So now that you have time to sit back and like
Hmm.
look at your life, ask yourself maybe some of these hard questions. And like this is where the guidance comes in and where I come in for people, asking hard questions. Every time I ask a client, I'm like, so who are you? Tell me about yourself. What do you like about yourself? People get very physically uncomfortable by these questions because nobody really asks them these things. Nobody really thinks about these things for themselves. But in your 30s
Hmm.
and 40s, that's usually the time where people start discovering this. Sometimes even like between like 40s and 50s, people want to rediscover this. But if you are in one of those like discovery phases, my message is just going to be this is to embrace it, that this is a good thing. Change and growth is something that is necessary for our well-being. That life has changed over the last 10 years and 20 years. That if we haven't grown as people, the world is changing. So if we're not changing along with it, we might feel stuck. We might feel unhappy. So constantly rediscovering yourself is part of this journey of self-love and self-care, and just one of the reasons why it's so important.
Wow. I got a bunch of questions to ask you from that. But I don't know if you're ready for this. Give us a sneak peek. Let's people and then kind of. So give us a Jessica Moloney.
Who's Jessica Moloney? So I am a self-love coach, a licensed mental health counselor, motivational speaker, and author. It has become my mission to be able to empower busy, growth-minded women leaders to increase their confidence and flawlessly know their worth so that they can begin to break out of negative cycles of self-sabotage and magnetize love and success into their lives. I am somebody who has had the pleasure of
Hmm.
sharing stages with Les Brown, Vivica A. Fox, Jillian Michaels. I have served as mental health expert on various mental health panels and in publishing and in media. I've been featured in Times Square twice to share my messages of self-love and body positivity. I became an award-winning empowerment coach in 2001 and 2021. Oh my goodness, 2021 and 2022.
Ooh, I was going to ask how old you are. I'm kidding.
Sorry, I'm losing my timeline here. And it's funny, like I can sit here and tell you all of these wonderful things and how I've been awarded over the last 2 years for my contributions to women's empowerment. But what a lot of people don't see with that quick tidbit of information is that, like, before all of this, I was somebody who just wanted to disappear in my life. I was somebody who struggled tremendously with depression and anxiety and still experience anxiety to this day. And to go from somebody who just hated myself, wanted to disappear, engaged in a lot of self-sabotage behaviors because I didn't believe in myself. My self-esteem was already so low that I allowed myself to be manipulated and gaslit in a slew of toxic relationships. And it wasn't until I hit some of my darkest moments in my life that I was able to begin to heal myself. And to go from somebody who wanted to disappear to somebody who speaks on stages in front of hundreds of people is an incredible version of myself that I never thought that I would ever get to meet. I never even envisioned was possible. So when you ask me who I am, I'm so many different people, so many different versions of myself, actually, that I'm somebody who's discovered a lot of the beautiful things that can happen when you really get to, when you really begin to accept yourself for exactly where you are and set out to create what it is that you want, not what it is that you've been told to go after and get. So I'm somebody who help people and will continue to do what I can for myself so that I can be the best version of me so I can give to others.
Wow. There's just so much I wanted to pull out from there, so I'm going to go very gently. But explain to us that you've used this about 3 times in the past 7. What is self-sabotage? You've used it about thrice. What is self-sabotage? It's a new phraseology in not just mental health, in your field that helps women, but it's not just even for women. What is self-sabotage and how does in someone's life?
Sure. I mean, to put it as briefly as possible, self-sabotage is when you pretty much get in your own way, that you sabotage good things happening to you for a couple of different reasons. You either don't believe it's possible or you don't believe you deserve it. So for instance, if I create an idea in my mind that you are going to be mean to me, then I will automatically become defensive towards you, even when you're not being mean. And I will perceive many of the things that you are saying to me as an attack. Therefore, I am going to create a feeling in you that you might want to be mean to me. And then I can say, see, I was right. Right? If I don't think I'm going to get a job, I'm going on an interview and I'm telling myself that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of this job. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough experience. So I'm being interviewed. My mindset is telling me that this is not for me and I'm not going to get it. So I can choke. I can, maybe not share things about myself. I can maybe allow the belief about myself to prove me right so that I don't get the job. When I can self-sabotage my relationships by believing that, somebody's going to leave me, that something is going to go wrong, that I'm constantly then telling myself in my brain is telling me to look out for the bad things. And if I am programmed to look for bad things, we will find it because our brains are very powerful things. It's a very unique piece of like our mind. And if we program it with negative things, it will result in self-sabotage. That if I'm looking for something bad to happen, chances are I'm going to find it because I'm looking for it. I'm going to wait for it to happen, or I'm going to poke enough bears in order for it to happen. But if we can program our mind with positive things, beliefs that like, hey, this could happen. It's not about being extremely positive or extremely negative, but recognizing that hey, this might not be so, or hey, like this could go well. Let's be open to possibilities. Therefore, I'm not going to get in my own way, hurt my own feelings. I don't want to tell myself that I can't do something before I've even tried. A lot of it is the language that we use with ourselves and the belief that we have about ourself, our situation, or our future that will either help us or hurt. So if you worry that you might be self-sabotaging, try to think about what your beliefs are about your situation and yourself. And if you have any evidence to support those beliefs.
Wow, wow. Um, how can, to say somebody self-sabotages himself because or herself because of all the things you've talked about, previous experiences and stuff like that. But how is it that a lot of people don't realize they are self-sabotaging? Why? How is it that a lot of people are not cognizant of the fact that they are standing in their way or they are getting in their own ways? Why do a lot of people, why is it that a lot of people need to be shown how they are standing in their way? Can't they progress? Can't they tell um, um, that they can do better, deserve better than that? I don't know the science behind it. What's the science behind being stuck? If you understand what I'm saying.
I believe so. I think that like people tend to lack self-awareness. Generally speaking, again, from an early age, we are not taught how to get to know ourselves. We are not taught how to be self-aware. You're not asked a lot about yourself in situations. You're asked about what you want to do, right? So being able to increase our self-awareness and to potentially raise our self-confidence or our self-esteem. I think that we live in a world where a lot of what we experience that is negative becomes easy to blame on somebody else. Right? If I'm in a relationship and somebody breaks up with me, like, well, he's a jerk, or he did that, or he whatever, or she, or whatever it may be. If I lose my job, well, my boss is mean, and this person said something that wasn't true about me. It's easy to blame other people. Very rarely do people go home after a negative experience and look at themselves in the mirror and be like, what part did I play in this situation? How can I learn from this experience or this mistake? Because when we are able to look at ourselves, it's not that you have to take responsibility for the whole thing. You are not the only person to make this relationship break up. You're not the only contributor to potentially losing a job or breaking up a friendship or something not going right in your life. There are a lot of external factors that can influence that. But realistically, we play a part in everything that we do. So if we acknowledge our part in things, we can increase our self-awareness. We could recognize that, ooh, you know what? I did do this. I was late pretty often. So I can change that part about me so that I can be a better version of myself and then potentially create a better outcome for my next job or my next relationship. But we have to be willing to learn from the hardships. A lot of us either want to run away from it or want to put blame elsewhere. And again, it's not about that it's all my fault or all somebody else's fault, but this person holds a lot of faults and I also hold faults. So I can learn and I can recognize and I can grow from that. And that's what makes me more self-aware. That helps me to love myself. It helps me to grow as a person and become a better version of me, which is what I'm always aspiring to do. And I think a lot of people are as well. They just don't really know it or they don't call it that. So as far as like the science behind it, there's actually something very interesting that I learned about a couple of years ago. It's called the reticular activating system. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's a piece of our brains that helps us filter the way in which we see the world. And we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. So going back to what I was saying before, as far as our self-talk and the things that you're telling yourself and the things that you're believing about yourself, that is the programming that you are telling yourself to look out for. If you're telling yourself your relationships always fail, you're waiting for it to fail. And that's when self-sabotage happens. It's going well. Something is going to happen. Like something's not going to go right. Let me get ahead of it. See what I can do. Right?
What usually would people do in that situation? Like, can you point out things like, what would be? Do you understand
Like
what
to
I'm
help
saying?
yourself?
No. I'm talking about, so people, what was the word you used? But not second guess. People um, think negative, and so something is going well, and all of a sudden they say it's going to go bad, and then in the line of self sabotage, what do people do, to mess up the good thing? Can you highlight a few things? I was going to jump into another question, but I think I wanted to get this out. What are the normal things people do that helps, going from the mentality or thought pattern to actions that self-sabotage? Does that make sense to you now?
Yes. So again, if I believe that, my relationship is going to fail, and you say something about the way I look today, my perception, the filter in which I receive that information is like, you don't like the way I look anymore?
Mm,
What do you think I'm fat? Do you think that I'm ugly? Like it's an automatic reaction because my filter is telling me that like somebody thinks badly about me. So if no matter what your
mm,
comment is, like, oh, nice shirt. What do you mean? You don't like it? Why did you say that? But why'd you say it like that? Right? Our interpretation could be differently. Or
mm,
if I think that, something is going to go poorly and or you don't come home at like a regular time or you don't call me as much today, I would be like, why didn't you call me? What's going on? Something changed? Are you mad at me? Are you doing something else? My filter in which I receive information is going to tell me that something is wrong, that this may be slightly abnormal behavior or something normal, but I'm receiving it in a different way. I'm going to
mm,
react because I am now feeling a level of insecurity or anxiety that is telling me that like I need to be on guard. Right.
mm,
So in order to help ourselves through that, learning to challenge our thoughts, that my perception is maybe not always my reality. And if I can test the validity of my thought, I can essentially help myself through that situation. Right?
mm,
If my automatic thinking is telling me that, like you're saying something negative, what evidence do I really have to support that belief? And if we don't have any evidence to say that this is true, then we have to try to leave it open to possibility. There's a lot of things that could be true,
mm,
but there's also a lot of things that might not necessarily be true. And a lot of times I find, especially with women, that we hurt our own feelings by telling ourselves these made up stories about what somebody else thinks about us, what somebody else is saying
mhm.
about us, or how somebody else feels about us.
Wow. My guest Moloney, and we have run through a bunch of topics, bunch of scenarios, and it's just still so much we want to talk to you talk to her about. You can tell, time flies when you're, and she is just so smooth and so with some of these things. I like the way she tells them. We have a lot of other questions we're going to ask at this point. You'll be listening to this after it's been recorded. So if you have questions, I'd love you to send them to me. You already have our and Gmails and phone numbers there. If you don't have them, they will be on the screen. Hope I don't have my assistant today. Sorry, but um, you will find them on the screen. It's Vantage Point with Pastor Henry, and you can email us. I'm at Henry on Twitter and on Facebook as well. And our contact number is, I think, 762-289-9689. We have 3 hours when nobody is answering the calls. So if you call at that particular time, I think it's Pacific time, 12 midnight to 3 a.m. Pacific time, or Central. No, Pacific time, I'm pretty sure Pacific, not Central. If you call at that time, message with the question you have in mind and say, this is for Jessica, and then you can ask your question. I don't want to take too much time because I would love to milk the thing in her brain today about what she's saying. I've got a bunch of questions that are just rushing at me, and I want to hear what she has to say about them. And I am very, very convinced you guys are all in. So without much ado, I'm going to bring Jessica back on and ask her some of these questions. Jessica, for doing this. I know we have a little time left, but I have maybe 2 or 3 questions I want to get in today. So let's go to this one. Um, what is there any link between self-awareness and self-love? Is there any link between it? Because from the way you described it in the beginning, you made it look self-love, self-awareness is the foundation, or I don't want to preempt you. So what's the link, self-awareness and self-love? Can somebody come to the place of self-love without self-awareness, or come to the place of self-awareness without self-love? I don't know. Tell us what you think.
Um, I think that they are very closely tied together. Do I think that one is possible without the other? Yes, because I think that if you can develop one, then you can develop the other. So I like to define self-love as holding your well-being and your happiness in the highest regard. Self-love is taking care of your own needs.
Holding.
I'm sorry, did I?
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, sorry. I was just talking about like the
Self-love.
idea of self-love. Yeah, it's holding your well-being and your
Okay.
happiness in the highest regard. That it's taking care of your own needs and not sacrificing your well-being to please others. To know that no matter
Mhm.
what rejection you face or what struggle you are in, that you are able to overcome. Self-love is being able to fill up your own cup so much that you can love others from your overflow. And in order to recognize that, in order to accept ourselves sometimes, we have to be aware of exactly where we are. And one of the foundations of self-love is being able to accept yourself for exactly where you are. That self-love is not a destination, it is a journey. It's not
Mm.
necessarily your reality, but it is your process. That I can practice loving myself every day, and I can tell you that I love myself today, but it doesn't mean that I necessarily love everything about myself. There are still things that I want and still things that I'm growing on. And it's a beautiful thing, but me being able to be aware enough that like I don't have to be perfect in order to love myself. And me being willing to love
That,
myself
that's
while I
very
grow and
powerful there. That's very powerful there. How can people, I didn't mean to ask, how can people come to the place where they are comfortable loving themselves, even though how is that
it,
possible?
I think it's acceptance, it's maybe not comfort. That
Acceptance. Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah. That's very
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Was
think
that all
that
you wanted
being
to
able
say?
to accept I was just going to
Okay.
add that with acceptance, we can create confidence because the root of the word confidence means trust. And if you can learn to trust yourself
Trust.
by doing something for yourself every day and honoring the commitment you make to yourself, you build self trust,
Mm.
which builds self confidence. And therefore, we have created just a higher level of self love. And I think that when we
Mm.
expand our capacity for that, we're able to love ourselves, we're able to give to others a lot more as well.
Okay. I'm gonna get bashed by a lot of people who would want to ask this question, and I'm gonna kind of bump it up. So many times you've said today about self-love, which is all about you finding yourself, finding what you like, and not sacrificing it on the altar of what somebody else likes. Now, let's kind of, where would you say is the compromise? Where would you say is the sweet medium and the sweet middle of self-love and love? If love is out, if love is selfless, how can you balance self-love with love?
That's a great, great
We're
question.
gonna make you a
So
love guru today.
but there's a woman named Lisa Nichols that I listen to. That she is an incredible, incredible speaker, and I heard her speak once, and I have tried to live my life by some of her advice. She said that it is so important for you to love yourself that like you need to fill up your cup. You think about a teacup with a saucer, that like we can't love, we can't give from an empty cup, right? So you need to fill your cup. And she said, I want you to fill your
Hmm,
cup so much that it overflows, so that when you love, you can love from your saucer. So I can
hmm,
give you the overflow of love that I have created for myself that is now on my saucer, and I can give you that. Therefore, if
hmm.
you take my love and you run away with it, or you take what I have to give and you don't give back, I am not left empty. That I can selflessly give you my love while fulfilling myself completely because I have been able to give it to myself so well, I can give you my rest. I can give you the overflow. And I think that's where we're able to love.
Oh, I'm gonna get you in trouble now. Me. anybody you're giving your love to only would get your rest?
Sorry, say that
It
again.
sounds a little bit weird, you know. So you said it's like a teacup, and then you get filled, and then you give the person whatever is on the saucer. How about if the person wants the one on the teacup, one in the saucer, and then you say, "So I'll give you the rest. I've loved myself enough. I'll give you the rest." So, is that what you're saying, that self is the place where you give people the rest of you, not I'm gonna get you in trouble.
No. Well, let me clarify. I'm glad you asked, just in case somebody
Okay,
else.
we'll take a clarification.
Because it's that I am going to be able to love myself so completely that I can create more. So if I can give you my extra, then you are filled too. However, if you are going to ask me to deplete myself for your well-being, that's also not fair for you to ask of me, right? So if we are
Exactly.
going to engage,
How would somebody ask you to deplete yourself?
well, if you like, I'm not sure maybe if I misunderstood the question, but
Wait, I'm just playing devil's advocate, right? I have to have you. I'm
sure.
just playing devil.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here for it. Yeah, let's go for
Good,
it.
good,
But
good,
if
good. Love it.
my cup is, if my cup is full and I'm going to love you with my overflow, and you say that that's
Mhm.
not enough, then I'm not going to give you all of me because I need to take care of me. I cannot depend on somebody else. It's not fair for me. So if you
Mhm.
feel that I am not giving you enough because I'm loving you from my overflow, then
Mhm.
maybe we are not compatible, right? Like I can love you completely while loving
Good.
myself
So it's still,
completely as well.
it's still, if you take it to an objective place, if you take it to a central place where it applies to all of humanity, where do you draw the line between the self of self-love and the selflessness of love?
That I
That's the
can
point I want to go to, because I'm pretty sure people will ask that question, and people would want to, because the point you have made, I agree. I love all the points. I'm only wanting to make sure that those who think like that and would have that question, because we're recording, but those who think like that and would have that question will get an opportunity to hear from you what you're saying. And I want to say one more thing before you answer, because I'll repeat the question. Um, um, we and I understand why it is important to lay a foundation of self-love before you think of giving somebody else love. We've grown up, or we've come into life with the mentality that, um, even in our songs, I give you all of me. How do you bring it to that, um, like I said, sweet median, where it is possible to give all of you while retaining your personal? How do you convince people of that? Because on one hand, I'm hearing you laying emphasis on self-love, and if you're going to deplete me, very true, but then it can be scary to some people who would want, even for instance, the oath of marriage vow, kind of, requires giving up everything, in sickness and in death and all of that, so I just want to hear Jessica's view on it, waiting.
Well, I do think that, in love, we do engage in selfless acts. We do things for the other person. It's not like this, I don't want to, so I'm not going to. But it's that, like, yes, I will do for you as I would potentially want you to do for me. That it's not just all about me, but I can compromise, I can sacrifice in love, but while also taking care of me. That if I'm going to share my food and you're starving, I will give you 90% of my plate, but if I need to eat too, I might save
I'll
some
take
for
one.
me.
I'm
'Cause-
kidding.
Depends on what it is, right?
Well, you said food.
We can still be very selfless in our love, but it's about, I'm not going to sacrifice myself to please you, because that's when
Mm,
codependency happens. That's when we feel like the rug is pulled out from under us, when
very
someone
true.
is not
Very true. Very true.
reciprocating our love, and that is when we are ended up feeling
Yeah.
broken in relationships, even if they're continuing. that like in sickness and in health, it's a mutual agreement that we are both agreeing to be there for each other in a variety of different situations. That I can put myself on a back burner for a little while if somebody needs me, absolutely. But it's not a completely, totally shift in my life and the way I treat myself because I love somebody else.
Hmm. 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 Point. Because we want to keep you, we want to be faithful to time with you. We could go on forever with this, and I am afraid this is going to kind of blossom into other areas that we would love to talk about. Like right now, I already envisage ability to overcome um, heartbreak from a broken relationship. How can self-love help you overcome all of that? And there's about 4 or 5 things I'm already writing down and they are popping up. So I know you have a very busy schedule. See how I can squeeze out time, even if it is 30 minutes here and there, and then we can just talk about these and see where it goes. But I want to ask you one more question before we let you go. My guest today has been Jessica. I'd like to say the one and only Jessica Moloney. We've had such an amazing time talking today. And I know that we've said some things that I'm going to get like a ton of questions. And the women are going to be like, whoa, Henry, you should have asked her this. And the men are going to be like, man, you just stood by and watch her do this, man, and all of that. So shoot me all your questions. Vantage Point with Pastor Henry, gmail.com, or info at Vantage Point with Pastor Henry. Those are the 2 emails. You have them. And this number again, I'll give it to you in a second. The in number, I just have to find it. I don't have an assistant today. Sorry. So its calling number is 762 289 9689. That's our number. You can call and leave a message. Looking forward to that. I want to ask Jessica, so I give her at least 4 or 5 minutes to answer the next question before I let her go. What do you say about what would you say are the major restraint people, coming out, discovering themselves? What would you say are the major things that keep people from experiencing that? Do you understand my question? I kind of want a listing and something that would open people's eyes to like, aha, that's been holding me, that kind of a thing. So what would you say are the things that hold people back? And I don't mind if you talk gender specific for women, it's okay. But do you have an idea what you would say about that?
Yes, I think that like the 2 that come to mind immediately are obligation and faulty beliefs. That our obligations tend to get in our way. I have to take care of the kids. I have to go to work. I
Explain that.
have to clean the
Oh, okay.
all the
Wow.
things that we have
Wow,
to
that's
do are
powerful.
to do it. That we're so busy thinking about all the things that we have to do that we don't think about ourselves. We don't think about our well-being. We don't think about, you know, what we really want. We don't think about our values and things that are important to us to make us happy, to make us feel good, that we value in ourselves. Because I need to see my worth. I need to see my value. I need to know what's important to me so that I can engage in the activities that make me feel good, not just the things that I have to do. And, on the other side of it, our faulty belief systems, whether it's something that was created in childhood or traumas that we've experienced through abusive relationships or parents not being there for us, bullying. There are so many things that happen to us at young ages that we're not really capable of processing that end up staying with us and create our faulty belief system. So if I believe I am not good enough, I will allow somebody to treat me as I'm not good enough, and I will be taken advantage of, and it will reinforce the fact that I think I'm not good enough. So until I step forward and learn about myself, challenge myself to see what it is that I'm actually good at, what it is that I can do, instead of only focusing on all the things that I've told myself or somebody else has told me that I can't do, that we don't really know until we've tried. And listen, a little disclaimer, like let's be realistic, please, with our things that we want to try to do, what we can do, but recognizing that there are so many things that are possible, that if you think that it's possible for somebody else, then maybe it's possible for you too. That, when we start seeing other people, instead of saying, I wish I could do that, or I wish I had what they have, being able to say, I'm going to figure out how to do that. I'm going to go out and get what they have. Let me figure out, let me problem solve, let me believe in myself enough to think that I can create an action plan to make something happen and then actually follow through and go do it. So everybody has their limitations, but when we think about what's possible, there is so much. We just haven't tried it yet. So being able to step out of your to-do list and ask yourself, what do you really want? When's the last time you really engaged in some deep self-care and took care of yourself and rewarded yourself for all of the hard work that you're doing? What are the beliefs that were put inside of you by somebody else? Somebody who told you that you weren't smart enough or you weren't talented enough or pretty enough. Who put those beliefs there and how did they become yours? What is it that maybe you told yourself that made those beliefs feel so real? And then being able to challenge those things, challenge yourself to step outside of your comfort zone, do things that you always wanted to do that maybe you thought you couldn't, and see what you're really capable of. It's being able to put yourself first sometimes.
I can stay talking to Jessica all night. That's how good she is. We've had Jessica Moloney, one and only Jessica Moloney, and we've been talking about everything about self-love, a realization or awareness, and how to come out and yourself, what you deserve, what you desire, and where you. I think she has left us a little bit mesmerized and a lot more questions that we have to ask. So we're going to insist that tomorrow we will answer all of those questions. I have about 22 questions now. I don't know that we can finish it tomorrow, but we'll see what we can do. Okay. We'll see what we can do. Where can people find you, Jessica?
Oh, great. You can find me at my website, which is jessicamoloney.net, or you can find me on all social platforms at the Jess Moloney, or you can email me at info@jessicamoloney.net.
Yeah, so next time I'll try and have all those set up so we can carry on and this for people who would love to connect with you. Do you have any books or any material people can get and that would help them get out on the journey right now?
Absolutely. I actually created a journal. It's a guided journal. It has a variety of activities to help develop the self-awareness that we've talked about today. And it has goal setting pages and, a little guide in there to help you figure out maybe what those goals are and how to set them in a way that they're actually achievable. And then it has some guided journal to help you through the process in the day-to-day. That journal is called Breakthrough. It is a self-guided empowerment journal, and you can find that on my website at jessicamoloney.net, or it's also on Amazon.
Wow, interesting. So we'll check out all those and we'll have links for everybody who is interested. If you can find them, just we'll send you the links. We'll try and get them before tomorrow. Want to thank you, Jessica. This was amazing. Thank you for creating time for us, and thank you for the nice things you've taught us today. A lot of men will be having a lot of questions, and I'll have all of those questions ready for you tomorrow. So come ready for the questions. Absolutely. We won't keep you any longer. Thank you very much, Jessica. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
God bless you. Thank you.
You too.
So, Jessica, thanks. Okay, you're off screen now. You can leave, so you're not obligated to stay, so you're not on screen. But thank you so much, Jessica. You're amazing. Wanted to thank everybody for watching again. This is Vantage Point with Pastor Henry, and we've had Jessica. It's been amazing. We've just run through a bunch of issues, and I'm afraid I'm going to get a ton of questions from all of this, and I can already envisage where this is all going to go. But it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. One of the ones I've enjoyed most. So I'm looking forward to a lot more with Jessica. I will see you all in the next episode. Until then, stay strong, stay healthy, stay happy, and stay blessed. This is Henry signing out. God bless.